When I first started watching wrestling in April of 2008, something I always hoped of one day doing was attending a WWE live event. Any fan hopes of one day doing that. And of course, where I lived in the state of Connecticut, events came around to where I lived all the time. It was just a matter of not being able to go because I wasn't able to, of course, that in eighth grade, I wasn't making any money whatsoever, so I couldn't pay for my own ticket. My parents didn't want to bring me, so it was a long process in order to get tickets finally to go to a WWE show. But it wasn't until I graduated middle school in the summer of 2009 when I finally convinced my mom to finally bring me to a WWE show. We were going to go to the episode of Raw, and I want to say in early of August of 2009, it was the episode where Jeremy Piven guest hosted. I think that was also the episode that Miz got fired too, of course, in storyline. But even still, though, I was hoping to go to that show. It was a Monday night in the middle of August. I didn't have school the next day, so that wasn't an issue whatsoever. We tried to get tickets on the day. We waited until the very last minute. And, of course, we waited far too late, and by the time we wanted to get tickets, they were already sold out. So I was really disappointed about that. My mom finally got me tickets later that month. There wouldn't be any more WWE events coming around in Connecticut for the remainder of the year. I think for the next couple of months. But there was coming to a show. There was a show coming to Providence, Rhode Island that wasn't too far away from where we lived at the time, so we ended up getting tickets, and it ended up taking place 5 years ago this week on November 3rd, 2009. So I was so pumped for this night. I was looking forward to this for at least 2 to 3 months, the entire first 3 months of my freshman year of high school. I was looking forward to this one day where I could finally go to a WWE live event. And it wasn't any ordinary live event or a house show, which I probably will talk about in some other video at some other point because I have been to house shows in the past. But this was no house show. This was an ECW SmackDown taping. Of course, if you remember ECW, the WWE version, it used to be taped back-to-back with the SmackDown brand on Tuesday nights. So this, of course, was going to take place on a school night, but it was a rare exception because I was going to be able to go. They weren't coming around to the area at any point in the near future, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to go. So I was very thankful to be able to get the tickets. We were on our way to go to Providence, Rhode Island until a couple days earlier. I believe it was over Halloween weekend. Halloween was on a Saturday that year. It was on that Friday that I started getting sick. And of course, anyone that was familiar with the swine flu at the time, the influenza, I guess it was called, H1N1, that was sweeping the nation here in the United States for the entire fall season, I guess. The entire latter half of 2009, people are coming down with it left and right. I just remember walking into school every single day, and half the school would be out sick because everyone was sick with the swine flu, H1N1. It was just spreading like crazy, and I was no exception. I ended up getting sick over Halloween weekend. I was so pissed because, as I said in last week's random video blog, Halloween is easily my favorite holiday of the year, with Christmas being a close second. But I was so disappointed I couldn't go to out trick-or-treating that Saturday night, even though, it was a perfect time of year, too, because it was a Saturday night. We had no school the next day. It would have been awesome. So I was really, really happy to be able to go trick-or-treating, but I couldn't because I had to stay home because I was sick. But that wasn't going to stop me from going to this WWE show that Tuesday night. I started to feel a little bit better in the next couple of days. I think I took Monday from school off. Yeah, I believe I took Monday from school off. The Tuesday was election day. So I was just preparing every single minute of that day. I spent most of the day watching Raw the night before. I don't know why I didn't stay up and watch it. I think it was 6, so I went to bed early or something. I think that was the episode that Ozzy Osbourne guest hosted. But that night I was super pumped to be able to go to the show. It wasn't no school, of course. Of course, the next day I would have school, but that didn't really bother me whatsoever because I was still so happy to be able to go to the show. Sick or not, I was going. We ended up going. Me and my 2 brothers and my mom, we all went together. It was an amazing experience. They didn't enjoy it as much as I did because it was a close to 4 to 3 hour night of wrestling. Let me take you through this real quick. We had a dark match. We had the ECW taping, the Superstars taping, the SmackDown taping, and then a dark match after that. So it was a very long night of wrestling, but it was definitely worth it, in my opinion. Like I said before, my brother and mom did not feel the same exact way. They were not exactly true wrestling fans. They are not wrestling fans whatsoever. So they didn't feel the same way as I did. But just to be able to walk into a WWE arena for the very first time, whether it be TV tape or not, whether it be tape for TV, it doesn't really matter, house show, regardless, it's an amazing feeling. I mean, you never really experience anything as a wrestling fan until you go to a WWE live event, or any live event, whether it be for WWE, TNA, ROH. The environment is just surreal, specifically for the WWE. With all the lights, the Titantron, the pyro, which was crazy. I almost jumped out of my seat when I hit for Kane, and at the start of the Superstars taping for SmackDown, there was pyro going off all the time, and it was just crazy. But I just had so much fun. I was able to see a lot of my favorites as well. I got to see The Undertaker before he ended up becoming a part-timer about a year later. He was World Heavyweight Champion at the time, so I got to see The Undertaker. I got to see CM Punk, who, of course, in the thumbnail you see the CM Bear. What the significance of that is, I mean, you probably saw the title of this video, and that thumbnail makes absolutely no sense. But the significance of that is that I actually bought a shirt that night, too. That I was going to take a picture of and use as a thumbnail for this video, but it's actually back at my house. I'm in college when I'm recording this. But I do have that shirt. I think it still fits me. I haven't worn it in forever, but I still do have that shirt. It's back at my house, so I was unable to take a picture of it. But I did have a picture of that bear of it. It was CM Punk, and it of course doesn't look like modern day CM Punk. That was CM Punk in like 2009 when he had the whole Jesus look going for him. But my brother bought that as a souvenir at that show as well. We got a program, I think. Not exactly sure, but I definitely did get that shirt. I just don't have it with me to be able to take a picture of it. But we did get that CM Bear, so that's the significance of the thumbnail, if you were wondering about that. But even still, I got to see The Undertaker, Matt Hardy, Batista, Zack Ryder, Christian, William Regal, Ezekiel Jackson, for what it's worth, I don't know. Chris Jericho, Finlay, so many awesome superstars. Dolph Ziggler, John Morrison, Hart Dynasty, Crime Time. All these great superstars over the course of the night. It was so much fun, and I could not have been more thankful to be able to go. So yeah, bottom line basically is that whether you're sick or not, I mean, I went in desperate measures. And the funny thing is, it's kind of follow this thing up. Even though I was still slightly sick, and of course I wasn't sick enough to the point where I was going to miss the show. I mean, we already paid for our tickets, so there was no way my mom was going to waste this money for just to stay home because I was sick. That was not, of course, an option whatsoever. But even still, because I went to that show when I was still slightly sick, I ended up getting more sick the next day. I went to school on that Wednesday, but I ended up getting sick again. So I missed school on that Thursday and Friday. But even still, that was so much fun. I would have used a picture that I took at the event as a thumbnail, but the problem is I didn't take any events at the event that I went to. It wasn't until about a month or so later, actually until like a couple weeks later, that I went to an indie event. And I started using, I think, my brother's camera, and all the photos of that show are up on my YouTube page. And I'll talk about that next week, because that was the event that I met Mr. Anderson, Mr. Kennedy at, Ken Kennedy. So I'll talk about that in next week's video blog. But even still, though, I did not have a digital camera at the time, so I didn't take any pictures. I don't know if my mom or brother did. I've never really actually bothered to ask them. But even still, though, I mean, for the fact, to commemorate that occasion, I got that T-shirt, the bear for my brother. He bought that for himself. But even still, though, the fact that I was still able to go was amazing. And these aren't any ordinary seats. It doesn't really matter where you are. I've gotten seats in the nosebleed seats all the way up in the top of the arena. And this was the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island, if anyone lives in the area and is familiar with the arena that I'm talking about. But at this show specifically, for my very first WWE show, I was able to get seats right behind the commentators. Not directly behind them, but a couple rows behind. And it was, like I said before, an absolute surreal experience, surreal view of the ring and of all the superstars right in front of me, including one of my favorites, William Regal, like I mentioned before. And when he came out at the start of the ECW taping, I just stood up and started clapping. I was the first one, or the only one on my row to be able to do that. But it's still, though, you never really experienced anything until you go to your first WWE live event. I just can't believe it's been 5 years since I first went to mine.